Hello, Capricorn. How are you? Happy birthday. So happy to have you here right now. I am going to do your birthday reading, and it's actually a solar return reading, which means that it'll be good for an entire year. So it'll give you some guidance. And I'm going to actually do what I did for Scorpio and Sagittarius, which is I'm going to lay out the cards in a circular manner, indicating the wheel of the zodiac. So each card that I grab is going to represent a theme and an area of your life. And so it'll make sense as I go through it all. But anyhow, so happy to have you here, Cappy. I have a soft spot for Cappies because Capricorns are tough, you know, in terms of cracking the code, in terms of getting into their heart space. So when you do have the love and attention and acknowledgement of a Capricorn, it's the real deal. It means a lot because it takes them a long time to get there, right? And so I appreciate the Capricornian energy. I think Capricorns are one of the signs that keep us going here in the world. So in terms of their hard work and perseverance and whatnot. So I'm going to get started. I'm going to start laying down the cards. I'm going to pull the first, yeah, okay, beautiful. And if there's any shaking, I apologize. I had to kind of reconstruct my space a little bit for the reading because I'm going through some construction, and so I'm limited in terms of space. Let's see. 6, great. So your 6 cards are down. And I actually chose the traditional Rider-Waite tarot deck for you this month. I've been using a deck depending on the energy that I feel, and I think with Capricorn is, you know, very traditional in many aspects, or appreciates traditional structure, and so I wanted to use the traditional deck. That's not to say that you can't invent new things and be a trendsetter. I'm not saying that. You are a cardinal sign after all, and cardinal sign is about new beginnings and getting out there and being a trendsetter, right? But you also like a little bit of structure and tradition to that as well. All right, let's see what we have here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Okay, let's get started. Before I flip the cards though, if you haven't already subscribed to my channel, please do so. I am trying to grow the channel here and get myself going on YouTube. You know how that is. And so if you resonate with this reading here today, I would like to kindly ask you to subscribe, comment, like, all that good stuff. All right, let's get started with your first house. So this is good, this reading from now, your birthday, through next year. So through 2021, and for some of you for 2022, because your birthday's in January. Okay, so the first house is about our general physicality. It's usually our first impression that people get of us, and it really sets the tone. The first house in an actual natal chart, natal reading, sets the tone for the rest of the houses and how they're going to fall on your personal natal chart. And so in general, the first house, though, is about our physicality. It's about our outlook in life. It's how we see ourselves moving through the 12 houses of the zodiac, meaning running through all of the themes of our life. So it's really our outlook, and it says a lot about how we're going to move things forward based on whatever sign and planet is in your first house. In this case, we're not doing natal chart, we're doing a general reading. For you, you got the Page of Pentacles. I hope you can see that. I have a little bit of a, oh, my curtain design is coming up on that. That's pretty. So the Page of Pentacles in your first house. So it's almost like you're starting your entire life from scratch in some area. Now, again, the first house can pertain to everything in your life. Like literally when you're starting over and there's an indication of starting over in your first house, it can indicate that you're getting an overhaul in every part of your life. Specifically too, though, physical, because the first house does rule our physicality, right? So when you get the Page of Pentacles, referring to things that are tangible, our finances as well, but also our value, our self-esteem, and how we see ourselves within the grander, our entire life, right? When you get the Page of Pentacles, the page is an apprentice, right? He's getting started. He's learning how to walk. He's learning how to utilize his self-esteem. He's learning about his value. He's learning about, this could be someone learning about how to invest, like learning new things, right? But this is pertaining to your first house. So for you, Capricorn, you could be experiencing a revamp of your physicality. Like literally, you could be experiencing an interest in completely recreating, like resurrecting your body in a whole other way. You could be getting into something tangible, like weightlifting or eating differently. Remember, because Pentacles is tangible, right? It's what we can see. But the page is at the beginning of it. So this is a good indication that you're setting the tone for some real tangibility throughout the rest of the year. Usually when the Page of Pentacles starts off in our first house, though, it can also indicate a little bit of, that toddler that's learning to walk. And when he's first, getting up to walk, he's a little, am I going to fall? A little bit nervous, a little bit of anxiety, maybe. It's, we'll see as we unfold the reading how it all lands for you. But so far, just know if you are feeling a little apprehensive or a little, ooh, I don't know anything about this topic I'm learning, or this new diet, or this new me that I'm presenting to the world. A lot of this can also be about finding a new identity that's more appropriately fits who you really are internally, right? Because you may have up to this point have been playing the part of your position, your identity that you've created in the social sphere, right? Because the first house can also, remember, as I said earlier, indicate how others see you. So you could have entered a new arena where people know and are aware that you're the newbie, right? So it's really exciting. And remember, this is for the whole year. So just because this isn't happening right now doesn't mean that come April or May, when you come back to the reading, things will make sense. Okay, so just keep that in mind. Okay, and for your second house, beautiful. You have the Six of Wands. And the Six of Wands, well, first of all, your second house is about your resources. It's about your investments. It's about the jewelry that you own, the artwork that you own. But more importantly than any of that, the second house represents your self-worth, your self-value, how you value yourself, and also how you allow others to value you or not value you, right? But it is a house, the second house is a house of tangibility. It's about money and resources, your money and resources, not other people's money and resources, your own. And here you have the Victory card. So for this solar return year for you, you're going to have some victorious wins and things that relate to your investments. And it's interesting because it could go back to maybe you're learning how to invest differently. Maybe there's something here because he is holding a coin as a newbie. So maybe there's something here that you're learning to invest in. You're learning maybe about different market shares, or there's something here that has to do with tangibility that spills into your second house. Second house can also indicate the things you put in your mouth, though, like the food that you eat, the vitamins, the minerals, all that stuff as well. So in any case, it's victorious, whatever you are doing in terms of your own resources. If you have recently decided to move, let's say, your money around from one investment to a different investment, or something new or different, or even take it out, whatever that is, whatever decisions you're making in terms of investments, it's victorious, it's good, this is a yummy, yummy card to get in that area. So congratulations to you. Okay, let's go to the third house. Beautiful. Oh my gosh, so far you have a very good read. So you got the Three of Cups in the third house. So you got a double three there. You got a 3-3, indicating high vibrating resonance there. So what that means is, first of all, the third house is about the skill sets that we learn, like the basic skill sets of something. Being a student of whatever it is you're choosing to be a student of. It can be other languages. It can be social media also, because the third house, the crux of the third house is all about communication. It's all about media. It represents our siblings, our neighbors. It's the day-to-day things that we do. Like, for example, the barista that we see every morning at 7 a.m. when we go get our coffee at the corner coffee shop, right? Like our neighbors, our everyday people, co-workers as well. But the crux of it is communication, right? Because we're constantly communicating with these people, with our siblings, with our neighbors. So there's an emphasis here of having a really good, harmonious year, because the Three of Cups is all about celebrating together. It's about getting together with these people that I just mentioned and feeling good with them and allowing them to be a part of our celebration, because there's something here that you're doing. You know, for some of you, it can be early retirement. I don't know. I just picked that up. For others of you, because the victory card here can also symbolize movement. For others of you, could be moving abroad or moving away somewhere, starting from scratch. And then you're celebrating with your favorite people here. You're celebrating with your siblings, your coworkers, your neighbors. But the third house, though, is also about teaching. So if you are, not teaching, excuse me, being the student, the third and the ninth house have like, it's a teacher, student, those are the teacher-student houses, right? But usually the third house is where you learn, and the ninth house is where you actually have become the master and you teach it. So whatever courses, or you may be creating basic step coursework, like the 101s of something, right? That's also the third house. You could be looking into creating coursework. You can be looking into putting together, you know, anything that helps another learn a skill that will help the betterment of who that person is. There is a big communication emphasis here. So you could be, you know, like this is like the TED Talks and the, you know, being a motivational speaker for a group of people and being celebrated by these people because they appreciate what you're bringing to the table. This is beautiful. Okay, let me see. And by the way, I'm going to do a quick review of all of it, and then I'll come back because sometimes I forget to mention specific themes of each house because I'm in the flow and I'm going like super fast. So what I do is sometimes I catch myself and then I'll come back and fill in the blanks if need be. So just know that I will come and do like a little sweep overall thing. Okay, so now we're going to move into your fourth house. And the fourth house is our roots, our home life, our maternal parent. And again, this is not gender specific, right? Because your maternal parent could have been your father. Your maternal parent could have been your grandfather, your grandmother, maybe even your neighbor. Whomever took the role of your maternal nurturing parent would live in the fourth house or is indicated by the fourth house in your natal chart. So here, we're going to see what you have. It's also, okay, so there's some sadness that you're experiencing. Actually, it could be our actual physical house that we live in, not houses that we are just have as investments, but the actual edifice that you live in is also represented by the fourth house. And it also can represent your mother or you as a mother. And you have the Five of Cups, Cappy. So there's some sadness surrounding these themes that I just mentioned. There's like a sense of loss. Maybe you've moved away to a different location and it's missing something that your other home had that you loved and you miss it. Or maybe there's something going on with your mom that you're dealing with, you know, because it is the maternal parent, excuse me, because like I said earlier, it could be your father if that was your maternal parent. But something happening here with that figure. You see how he's sad. But one thing to keep in mind also as it relates to the fourth house and the Five of Cups, you see how he is really upset about the 3 cups that have spilled in front of him, but completely oblivious that there are still 2 very full, yummy cups behind him that are still vibrating and standing tall. So there's also a little warning and advice here for you as it pertains to themes of your 4th house. By the way, this can also indicate like your lineage, like your distant family, like grandparents, aunts, uncles, even those that you've never talked to or haven't talked to in a while. But there is something here that you feel that you've lost. There is something that's going to feel like a heavy loss to you and really sad. And so Spirit wants to remind you, yes, you are acknowledged and validated for feeling this way, but there are also 2 more cups that need your attention, and they are there for you when you're ready, right? Because I feel that when it comes to grieving, we have to allow ourselves to grieve, no matter what it is, whether it's for a person, an object. You know, you've heard many times of people who have had cars for a long time, and the cars are pretty much like on their last layer of the wheel and they're literally falling apart. And you go and you buy this amazing new car that you've always wanted, but you still grieve for that car because you have so many memories. So even though it's an object, it's not a person, there's still this grieving, this shift of energy that's happening, and you're grieving that old energy. So that could be here. So a lot of you are moving. I think a lot of you, from the flow that I'm seeing here, is like you could be leaving a home that you loved, or realizing that you need to give up a home, maybe for whatever reason. Yeah, I'm really feeling that heavy. Or also, some of you could be far away from a parent or far away from your home. You're either working abroad or you're working somewhere else that's keeping you away from the family unit, and you're feeling really sad about it. You miss them, right? And that's understandable. Okay, so let's move on to your 5th house. And your 5th house is the house of leisure. It's the house of romance. It's the house of the yummy yummies that we love to do. It's the house of creativity. It's our youth, our inner child. It represents our children too, if you have any. And sometimes your fur babies too, although a lot of astrologers say the 6th house is where fur babies belong, but I really believe both the 6th and the 5th house, because in the 5th house, a lot of us really see our fur babies like real babies. It's a real thing. They are our babies. And so if this could also represent your little furry ones as well. So let's see what comes up for you. Ooh, the Lovers. And this is the house of romance. The Lovers also represents the sign of Gemini. So you could be dealing with a Gemini. Also, the Lovers and the sign of Gemini indicates youth, younger. So you could be spending a lot of time with a younger person. This could be a niece, a nephew, a lover, or just you yourself could be doing hobbies, because remember, this is leisure, hobbies, all that good stuff. You yourself can be involved in hobbies and leisure that make you feel younger, right? And almost like bring out the duality in you, right? Because Gemini and the Lovers is about making choices. It is about 2 opposites. It's about duality, right? You got the male and female energy there. Remember, this is not gender specific. We're using the energy, the feminine and masculine here. And so it could be that you are coming into this new exploration of your own masculine, feminine duality, and you're learning how to mesh it together in some new event or some new leisurely thing that you're doing, or hobby, or what have you. But a lot of you will be spending time with younger people, or you may even be having twins as children, because Gemini often falls, when there's Gemini in the 5th house in an actual natal chart, a lot of times that person is either a Gemini or either a twin, or will be having twins. I've seen that quite a bit actually, which is really fascinating and interesting. But also, the lovers, the crux of the lovers is making a choice between two opposites. So in the 5th house, you could be romantically, you could be making a choice between two people. Also, the 5th house can indicate your own business, your own authority, your own, whatever it is you're leading, whether it's a group of people, whether it's a hobby, whether it's your own business, or you are the CEO of your company, whatever it is. And so it's about having to make a decision between two opposites in that area. You might be deciding you want this business versus that business, or having to make a decision of like which one of your 3 businesses you need to spend less time on and dedicate more time on another. It's also creativity or creative projects. So you may feel the tug of you have to maybe make a choice, right? But it also represents duality. So remember that you could be working, doing one thing, one focus, but within the energy of duality. So I hope that makes sense. It's a little, I know there's a lot there, but remember, this is general. We're reading for a general population of Capricorns here. So a lot of you are going to have different stuff going on, but the themes don't change though. The themes belong to the houses. The cards have their own themes. And so you apply it in the way that most resonates for you. Okay, so we're at 5th. We're going to go to the 6th house. Okay, so before I show that to you, the 6th house is about your work environment. It's our day-to-day routines. It's our health. It's the things that we, the daily, going to the job that we go to daily. It's also, it's also the boss employee, the hierarchy, house of power, hierarchy of power. So like it can also represent your employees if you're a boss. The crux of the 6th house though really is about health and routine. And so you have the 10 of Swords. So health-wise, you may be going through some stress this year. There may be some challenges that you're overcoming, right? Now, the great thing about the 10 of Swords is that 10 is at the end of something, right? Like you're paying whatever dues needed to be paid, whatever stuff you have to go through. It's at the end, but you still feel the burden of it nevertheless. So you could be struggling with some health issues. Also, 6th house can sometimes represent enemies. I know that many times the 7th house is referenced in terms of houses of enemies, but I really think the 6th house also has that energy. So you could be feeling the burden of like other people coming at you, the energy of feeling misunderstood in regards to like as it pertains to people of different hierarchy, right? So it could be either like your boss or your employee, and literally being like stabbed in the back. I hate to say that, but like look at this imagery, right? It's feeling the burden. It's like feeling that someone did you not so great. And the 6th house is about, our work, our job, our day-to-day job. But what I'm really feeling here though, honestly, because Swords does rule the mind. And many times when the Swords comes up, it's more about what's going on in our mind and not necessarily what's actually happening in the physical realm. And that's great because then it's not actually happening, right? But yet you're still being disturbed by that. So this mental anguish could potentially lead to some health issues here. So this is a little bit of a warning from Spirit, Cappy, to make sure that your day-to-day routines, most importantly your job, doesn't make you feel this heaviness. Like make sure that you are maintaining your power. And whatever people are saying, whatever misunderstandings they may have of you, maybe it's your employees who don't get you and they think you're too strict or you're not strict enough, or there's too much going on here. If you are feeling ill, if you've gone through, hopefully you haven't had to deal with this pandemic, but if you are someone who's dealt with that or some other illness, just know that you're at the end of it. You're going to still feel it for a little bit, but you're at the end of it. And at the end of the day, swords does not have power in the tangible. It's in your mind. So just remember that. Doesn't mean your mind is not valid and what you're thinking is not valid. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that you have more power over it than you may think. Okay. See, and then it gets good. So then we move on to your 7th house. And the 7th house is the house of partnerships, marriage, contracts. Because it rules contracts, it can also rule divorce. But in this case, you got the marriage card in the 7th house of marriage. Or for those of you who are not into marriage, who don't believe in that, what have you, it's pretty much the happy home, happy relationship, happy partnership card. So for those of you who are not in a romantic relationship or don't have any thoughts of going that direction of marrying someone or whatnot, it could indicate your business partnership that you have going on. So it basically says, the 4 of Wands, that this partnership that you're getting into is very stable, consistent. There's enough energy, raw energy, because that's Wands, and Wands is passion. It's energetic. It's it feels, it's the fire that gets things going, but it's also stable because it's the 4. It's the square that makes everything stable, consistent, and grounded. So you have fire, you have love, partnership, and stability. So that's beautiful. So what this means for you is whatever partnerships you're thinking of going into, whatever partnerships you already have in place, keep going. Spirit is saying you're on the right track. For some of you, maybe a couple of things. Reinventing the current relationship that you are in, and it could come back to this guy here, right? Starting over, because the 1st and the 7th house are mirroring each other, right? They're at the opposite side of the axis, of the same axis. So the 1st represents the self, your physicality, who you are, and then the 7th represents your partnerships and others, right? So they usually affect each other, right? So whatever changes you're making to yourself, it could be some thought that you potentially had about partnership, and the change in that, and going into this as an amateur, like we said earlier, it could be producing these results here. And so, yeah, so good job. That's lovely. Yeah, and it could be why you're feeling some anguish here, but this is the 6th house, so I doubt it. But there could be something about this new partnership, or it could be that some of you have a new work partnership happening that's feeling heavy, and you're not sure if you're making the right decision, and this is confirming that it is the right decision. All right, let's move on to the 8th house. And the 8th house in astrology is one of my favorite houses. It's one of the creepiest houses because it's the house of the occult. It's I wouldn't say the most misunderstood. I think the 12th house is the most misunderstood, but the 8th house is the house of transformation. It's the house of death, rebirth, transformation. It's also the house of merging with others and our resources with others. So remember earlier we talked about these resources here in the 2nd house, but this is your resources, the resources you produce yourself in the 8th house, which is on the same axis like I was talking about, but the opposite side of that same axis of the 2nd house. That 8th house now becomes the resources of other people and how that spills into your life, right? So see how that works. So anyhow, so we have, so let's flip and see what's in there. Ooh, Knight of Swords. Yeah, so there's something happening here quickly because the Knight of Swords is about quick action in an area of, this could be other people's money, also taxes, insurance, live in that house. I feel like you're going through a major rebirth of your own identity, and it's happening fast. I feel like this whole new person vibe that I'm getting here, and people celebrating you around. I'm wondering, and again, I'm just thinking out loud. I'm wondering, oops, excuse me. I'm wondering if this card here, where you're feeling the anguish, or, you know, hopefully not, but if it was an illness or something that hit you hard here, has caused this rapid rebirth in your relationship, or rapid change of mind of what you used to think about committed relationship, or even partnerships, working with another individual on your business. Something about this low point is making you quickly change things or go through a transformation that nobody really recognizes you. Like by the time you're done with this year, no one's really going to, the people you knew a year ago are not, like, you're just not going to be the same person. I mean, and a lot of us, right, this year, that's the case. A lot of us have gone through some major transition and major change that has, a lot of us are not the same as we were when this whole freaking pandemic started a year ago, or almost a year ago. But for you, there is something here in your 6th house. It's like hitting rock bottom. And you see how he's like down on the ground and these swords. So whether it was someone who backstabbed you, or if it was an illness that hit you freaking hard, whatever this is right here, it's changing the way you see it's changing everything for you. Yeah, and then you have, remember, you have this going on too. The sadness of something happening in your home life, your property, your maternal parent, your ancestry, your lineage, and then having to make a choice here. So you are, there's something happening. If it hasn't already happened, you might start seeing the signs of it, but there's something that, because of it, you're having a fast change come upon you in regards to the 8th house. And the 8th house is other people's resources. It can also be a change, a quick change in that. It's also communication. It's quick, sometimes sloppy, sharp communication coming at you. Yeah, I'm going to come back to that. I'm going to keep going and see what else pops up. Okay, so that's your 8th house. Now we're going to go into the 9th house, which represents, you know, the teaching element, where we become teachers and we take what we learned here in the 3rd house and teach it in the 9th house. It also represents travel. 3rd house also represents travel, by the way, but the 3rd house was about traveling short distances or for a short while. So you may be traveling to see people you love and going to have fun with. And the 9th house is longer term travel, so traveling overseas. It also can represent like the guru in us, mentors, people that we hold on a high standing in terms of what they're teaching us and what we're learning from them. It's the house of Sagittarius. So it's about expansion too. It's our mind and how it expands and how we allow it to expand us, our spirit. So let's see what you got. Yeah, see, you're retreating. The 4 of Swords. You're retreating. So you may decide to go to travel somewhere as soon as we're able to travel, to retreat and rest. You may also feel like you want to retreat from being the guru, the master, the teacher. It's almost like you're tired. Maybe you've been doing that all year long. Maybe you've been the front and center leader of everything. And now you're just saying, whoa, I need my space. I need to rest from being the person who has all the answers, because that's what the 9th house usually represents, is that Sagittarius energy of, listen to me, I have answers, I want to share them with the world. You're going to have this feeling of, you know, I'm okay if I don't do that TED Talk this month or that class this month. Doesn't mean, it doesn't take away from these other courses we were talking about if you are one of the Capricorns working on some kind of course. But you are definitely taking a breather here. It can also indicate meditation, because the 9th house is the house of spirituality also, along with the 12th house. So it could be that you can literally go to a retreat, a yoga retreat, a silent meditation retreat, something that's literally your time out. I do want to mention this is not a lonely card, it's an alone card. So whatever it is you're planning on doing, you're probably going to do by yourself. Whether it's retreating in your own home in a different bedroom, or retreating a different land, somewhere else, you're doing it on your own. And that's actually recommended here by Spirit. There's something about you needing, there's something, again, whatever this is going to catch up. It doesn't take away from this beautiful partnership though. Okay, so let's not confuse that. I'm not saying that you being alone means something ended. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that you will be pulled to it, and Spirit is confirming you need this. Maybe a retreat. Maybe go somewhere beautiful and retreat. Okay, so that was 9th, 10th house. Ooh, the 10th house, the world. So the 10th house represents our social standing. It's the highest point of our natal chart. So it's our career. It's how other people see us. Different from this. This is our first impression that we make on people. The 10th house is about our social fame, if you will, or how we show up in a grander concept, or in a context of like our career and what we've created in the world, that whatever we created in the 5th house, now we're being acknowledged for it in the 10th house, right? That's what the 10th house is. That's how it differs from the 1st house. So for you, getting the world there, you're closing out a chapter in your career. There is something you're closing out. There's something that's definitely, and it could be related to all this other stuff, but there's something here, and I'm telling you, some of you are getting early retirement. I see that, like you are. Some of you are going to retire early. Some of you, I just got a hit. Some of you are selling your businesses. Just heard that loud and clear. Or within a year, you're going to sell this business, because the world signifies also 1 year when you're talking about timing. But it mainly represents closing out a chapter and starting a new one as well. It's a cycle. We're closing it out. But in the 10th house, yeah, there is something that's given full fruition for you, and you're like, okay, I'm ready to let this go. Or the way you show up in the world is changing. Remember, I was talking about that whole identity thing too. So something significant here about how you show up, or what your identity has been. So whatever career you have had that's become your identity, that's changing. And it's beautiful. The world is always positive, because it's the ending to begin something new. Okay. And again, some of you, in terms of the timing, if you are waiting to sell your business or something of that nature, or you're starting to think, what time frame am I going to retire in? This is indicating 1 year time frame. Okay, so let's move on to the 11th house. The 11th house is our networks, our associations, the people that are memberships, like whatever organizations you belong to. It's also the house of windfall. It's our where we make our wishes. It's also about thinking about the future, where we want to go in the future, because it's ruled by Aquarius, and Aquarius is about like hopes, wishes, where do we want to go in the future, right? I'm very curious to see what you're going to get in that house, because again, I think that's going to confirm a little bit better for a lot of you where this is going. So let's see. The Hermit. Now, this is interesting because, here you go. Okay. You are definitely getting to a point where you're needing to be alone. Some of it is going to be by choice. Most of it is going to be by choice, driven by something that didn't feel good to you, that's making you recalibrate completely. But the Hermit can also be about retreating, right? So you have a lot of retreating cards here. Yeah, because even the 5 of Cups, the sadness card is about retreating. It's interesting. You have victory, you have celebration, you have, sealment of a partnership, but in that mix, you also have a huge need to isolate. So the Hermit, though, could also represent retirement again, right? Like retreating, like going to be a hermit away from the business world, selling your business, because now you can be alone and do your own thing. But there is a strong need here for you because you got the Hermit in the house of friendship and associations and other people. I mean, the Hermit in the house of that you're not really going to be interested, and you probably have not been interested in being around other people as much as you normally are. And Capricorns by nature tend to prefer their own, their own advice, their own counsel, their own space. But this is very interesting that it falls in that area. Also, though, the Hermit can be a teacher, a spiritual guru too. So again, a lot of you are going to become more spiritual, get into meditation, retreat. I think this whole moving away thing or going away for a bit could be that, like, again, I keep repeating it. You may be going somewhere to retreat. You may be going abroad somewhere. Also, by the way, the world, something I failed to mention, the world can also represent an obvious representation here of traveling the world. And when it's in the 10th house, it can mean that your work that you're doing now, your career that you're doing, how you're showing up in the world is associated with traveling the world. Just remembered I didn't mention that. So it could also be, for those of you who are traveling, could be doing it alone and feeling it, a little lonely there. The Hermit is not necessarily a lonely card per se. It's a very spiritual, going inward, being more interested in what your inner light is saying, being more interested in what that which you hold sacred has to say. It's not a negative card. Some people see it and think, oh my God, I'm going to be so sad. No, not really. You could be totally content and happy on your own. Like, I'm an introvert. I totally love being alone and I feel so happy being alone. So that could be what's happening there for you too. All right, let's move on to your 12th house. Speaking of being lonely and isolated, the 12th house rules those things. So the 12th house rules things like the hospitals and prisons. It also rules the esoteric, another part of the esoteric realm. It rules our daydreaming, our prophetic dreams that we have when we go to sleep, our literal dreams that we have, and also our future-based dreams and manifestation that we have, that we dream up in our internal personal space. It's also very artistic. It's ruled by Pisces. The original ruler of the 12th house is Piscean, so it's very dreamy, sexy. It also rules bed pleasures, and it also rules like hidden affairs if you happen to have some planets hitting your 12th house in your actual natal chart. So basically it represents all things hidden, and many times it can also represent things that are hidden from ourselves, right? Because it's different from the 8th house, where the 8th house is things that are hidden but that we're aware of, that we're aware we're hiding, right? And the 12th house can sometimes be sneaky. Also, our enemies, hidden enemies, live in that 12th house, and also our hidden talents. So it's a very profound house. And, the 8th and the 12th house are my favorite houses because they are so profound and so deep. The esoteric lives there, witchy shit lives there, all that stuff, which is, for me, it's so tantalizing, and I love that stuff. But let's see what you have in the 12th house. Finally, right? Yay! This is so good. So you got the 10 of Pentacles. So the 12th house also represents a full cycle, right? Because it's the last house of the zodiac wheel. And what I love about the 12th house, normally how you end the 12th house gives indication for the new cycle. Because again, the 12th house is ending a cycle, right? So you're coming into some money here. So there's a lot of tangibility here in terms of the themes that we talked about. So you could have real tangibility, like the things that you're putting out, right now in your dream state, you could be manifesting big time, like bringing it to actual tangibility. That's huge, right? So if you're somebody who's been, working with law of attraction, now again, law of attraction works whether you believe in it or not. But if you're someone who's actively really putting work into law of attraction, actually putting energy into it and really directing it, then this is where you're going to see You're going to see some, because remember the 12th house is spirituality, is the depths of our depths of our depths, is the hidden. It's what we're dreaming. It's what we're manifesting in our mind. And here you have true tangibility of those things. This is freaking awesome. This is a great card to get there. So whatever new venture you're thinking of, or whatever partnership you've been dreaming of, or whatever thing you've been doing with your meditation and your isolation, whatever it is that you're it's like you're putting in a little spell there, right? Your law of attraction spell, and it's coming to fruition, and you're going to see a real tangibility, whether it's a home you're dreaming of, right? Because remember, you have the sadness happening there. Whether it's this partnership, the actual literal things that this partnership is going to bring. Also talents. Remember I talked about hidden talents? So you may have come into a discovery of a hidden talent that someone else, this partner here, points out, or you discover, and you realize, oh my God, I can totally capitalize on this, whatever that may be. Some knowledge that you came into is bringing this. So this is really beautiful, Cappy. It's, you know, I'm not gonna lie here. You're not in for an easy breezy, woo, let's surf and let's have a ton of fun like Sagittarius or Scorpio. I can't remember. If you go and you look at their solar return, they had every card was like an amazing card. You have some, you know, and the truth is, I don't think a Capricorn wants to get bored. I honestly think you would get bored if it was too easy. And it probably would feel like you didn't actually earn it, right? It's just a Capricornian way, which I love. Okay. I think I want to pull one more card for you. I want to pull, I think I want to get your inner child. Like, what does your inner child need most from you? Spirit, what does, and I have these cute children. This is a deck I use for my child tarot. For those of you who have children, please go check out Child Tarot. It's for, it's tarot about your child to help guide you, the parent. If you know any parents, please send them that playlist. I'll link it below. All right, let's see, Spirit, what does Capricorn's inner child need most from them during the solar return year? Yeah, what is it? Also, this 9th house, this 4 of Swords here, is about healing. It's about healing. And healing spiritually also, like allowing spirituality to heal you. I had to say that because, again, I know some of you are, yeah, there's something there. All right, Spirit, what does Capricorn inner child need? What does Capricorn inner child need? Aww. Yes. Cappy. Look how cute that is. You got the 2 of Wands. Yes, Capricorn. So for those of you who are haven't been able to travel or bring things to fruition, this is saying like your inner child needs to dream up. You need to, you know, think about where you want to be, like really allow yourself to dream and think. You see how he's looking out and he's like holding that globe, and he's not ready to make a move yet, right? Because the 2 of Wands is not, the person starts to move in the 3 of Wands. This 2 of Wands is preparing, really taking time to think about, what do I want to do now that I have retired, now that I'm in this new partnership, now that I've taken my partnership to the next level, now that I have changed my identity because this illness or this backstabbing or whatever has made me change. What do I want now? Where do I want to go? What countries have I never been to? What things do I want to learn? Who do I want to create now? That's what this is about. It's about really taking the time to think about that. Allowing yourself the space to think about that. It's a beautiful card. And again, it goes back to that law of attraction, manifesting, thinking about what, like focusing more. I want to say this because some of you, you've gotten your butts kicked already even before the solar return, right? And there's some stuff still happening. So I want to remind you and reiterate law of attraction, focusing on the positive. Because I think sometimes Capricorns are ultimate manifestors. And at the same time, though, they're very pragmatic. And so sometimes they'll get into this dream big thing, and they work hard. They do work hard to make these things happen. But sometimes, Cappy, you want to be careful that your pragmatic side, which is very well developed in a Capricorn, doesn't get in the way of the dreaming piece, right? Because that's what's going to bring you this. But this is what the adult needs, right? This wheel is the adult. This is what your inner child needs. So not only is your adult working with this, your inner child needs you to dream. Even if it feels to you like it's ridiculous and unreasonable because, oh, I'm not that child anymore. What are the things that you loved to do when you were little? Do you have a diary that you can go back up and dig up and see and read and maybe do some of those things? It's just for yourself. It's for your inner child. No one needs to know about it. You know, if something that made you feel good as a child was playing with marbles and you don't want anybody to know, fine, I won't tell. Just go find a safe space to dream up. Because that's what your inner child needs. Okay? All right, Capricorn. You are amazing. Thank you so much. And please help me grow this channel. So if you are interested, if this resonated for you, please subscribe, comment, like, tell your friends about it, share it with your friends. I would greatly appreciate you for that. Thank you so much. Happy birthday.